So, yesterday we talked about there's things that I'm watching that are on the periphery that you may or may not need to know about. There's a lot of other prepper channels that are talking about them, and I'll give you one such instance: the oil refinery that caught on fire, blew up, whatever you want to call it, over in Ohio. While it may be significant in the overall picture, it's not that big of a deal for the overall events going on in the world right now. So, the main two topics I hit yesterday: the Fed rate hike and the emergency message that Putin was supposed to put out, but he didn't. It got delayed, and that came out early this morning for us. So I'll just start with the Fed rate hike. It happened, and the market tanked. The Dow went down over 500 points. The 2-year yield shot straight up like it was loaded on a springboard, and the 10-year yield started coming down, which is significant. I talked about that on my other channel, Joshua Thompson, Just Take Off the Rants, and why that's significant. Sometimes that may or may not tell you that the crash has started, but we shall see over the next couple of weeks coming. The Fed's already said they expect to keep hiking rates until about somewhere between 4.5% to 5%. We shall see. That's all going to have negative impacts for the economy. Secondly, I talked about the fact of the emergency message from Putin. So obviously most of you are probably aware now that he came out and said partial mobilization, 300 plus thousand troops are going to be mobilized. This is quite significant because it's going to bolster the numbers they already have there. So close to, if not over, 500,000 Russian troops. But there's a lot of saber rattling going on. And this channel, I mainly focus on just getting you guys information you may not get from other places and telling you need to get prepared. I know a lot of people take that sentence lightly. You need to get prepared. But they've taken that lightly several times throughout history. So let's just go over that. Now, I know that there's other creators out there like Canadian Prepper, who's mentioned what I'm about to say, and Tim Pool talks about the American Revolution all the time. Although I don't know where he gets that 20-year number from. I mean, I guess maybe if you want to include the pre-war era of the tar and feathering days. But essentially the message from Canadian Prepper is that a lot of people have been bamboozled into believing that wars happen very quickly. And this couldn't be further from the case. It doesn't happen like that. Now, I know if you watch something like The Patriot, you think that the movie with Mel Gibson, you think that war just happens overnight. It's easy, quick, in, out. But the real truth is the Revolutionary War lasted for 8 years. Okay, it started in 1775 at Lexington and Concord, shot heard around the world. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that after that took place, it was another month before British reinforcements arrived in America. And after they arrived, it was another month before they started seizing towns. They started at Bunker Hill. After the first shots were fired, that was the sign for everybody to start prepping, everyone to start getting prepared, maybe moving away to where maybe somewhere hostilities aren't going to happen. That was when they should have gotten prepared. Fast forward, let's go to the Civil War. States started seceding from the Union before Abraham Lincoln even got into office. He wasn't even sworn in as president yet, and the states had already seceded. That was the time that you should start getting prepared in any way that you can. All right, let's fast forward. Let's go to World War II. This is somewhere where I know a lot about World War II. So, Germany declares war on Poland. They get in because they claim that Poland attacked border guards, right? So, they send their troops in. Everybody knows, Blitzkrieg, yada, yada, yada. Well, the French actually sent their troops into the Saar region, and they probably could have, if not significantly damaged Germany's war power, they probably could have overtaken it, but that's not the point of this. They ended up pulling out, and France and Britain declared war on Germany. Now, what preceded that was what is called the Phony War. It was a period that lasted from the end of September 1939 all the way through the winter, all the way till 1940, until the Germans finally attacked France. Now, if you've watched movies, Saving Private Ryan, you think all of this stuff occurred like that. It didn't. During the Phony War, you should have been getting ready. You should have been getting prepped. You should have had stuff set aside, and maybe your family wouldn't have starved to death after Germany attacked and cut all your supply lines off. So that's the point of this, is Putin is now coming out and saying, do not push me. I'm not bluffing. I will pull the trigger. And don't try to blame this phony nuclear escalation on us. And he's talking about the nuclear power plants in Ukraine. So whether or not it's them doing it, I'm not trying to put blame on either side. All I'm saying is that this is one of those rare moments in history that you get to look back at it on and say, I probably should have started then. Because let me tell you right now, if you wait until the potential first nuke drops, you're going to be left standing in line, and you might not get any food. You might not get any water. You might not get any supplies. I'm not saying that is going to happen. But again, I talk about this all the time. The potential shelf, right? The shelf of potential things that might happen. If you're not ready for it, you lose. It's just that plain and simple. You lose. And they've made several statements out of Russia that they're not going to lose this. And they do have the most nukes on Earth. Doesn't mean they'll use them. They know there will be consequences. But if that potentiality is there, why would you not get prepared now when everything is relatively cheap? And I know prices are up, but everything is relatively cheap now versus what they're going to be. And I want to also remind you that during World War II in the United States, supposedly the land of plentiful, there was rations. They had ration cards. You could only get so much of certain things because all the rest of it had to go to the war effort. So just keep that in mind. Maybe you follow the advice, maybe you don't. But that's up to you. We all have to make our own personal decisions here in the land of freedom. Okay, so I'm going to end this off like I want to do all my other videos. I'm just going to show you some stuff real quick that you may need to be concerned about. We do have a potential hurricane. The timeline is a little bit different. So this is the GFS model. It's saying the hurricane's going to come up here in the Western Gulf and then turn last minute and make landfall somewhere around Biloxi, Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama, somewhere around October the 2nd. But if you change the model over to the Euro model, then it has it actually hitting Florida around south of Tampa and then curling back up into Georgia. So we have two different potentialities. Now I want to mention this is far off. Okay, so we're talking 10 plus days out, and models don't get things very accurately that far out. So this is a developing situation. I will continue to update this as long as I can. Moving along. So some stories here to know of. Heavy spring snows in South Africa. Probably not going to hear that anywhere. 2 feet buries Australian ski resorts. Early season flurries hit Mount Shasta in California. Record frost persists in Europe. That's the biggest thing to note here because I've talked about this a little bit here, but mostly on my other channel. The gas prices going up there is going to make the euro go down, and it's going to make the dollar go even higher, and that's going to crush the world economy. Grain prices soar on Ukraine news. Just keep all that stuff in mind, folks. There's not really a whole lot of stuff going on in the sun. There's no solar flares. You can see here. There's no CMEs. The spiral model looks good. But this sunspot right here that's coming in, this is the bad boy that threw a bunch of stuff at Venus a week and a half ago. So we're keeping our eyes very closely on this. Lastly, there's not a whole lot to report here on the earthquakes. Had a couple of rumblers over here in Japan. This area, they take big quakes all the time, so it's not that big of a deal. California had a little bit, but it's nothing to report. So I will do my due diligence to try to bring information. I don't know why I'm stuttering tonight. I will do my due diligence to try to bring you guys the best information that I can, if I think it is worthy of you even hearing it. If you're just going to hear this stuff a million times on different channels, then I'm probably not even going to waste my time doing it because it's pointless to rewatch the same information over and over again. and then it kind of feels like, you know, I'm wasting your guys' time, and I don't want to do that. So anyway, I love each and every one of you. I'll see you in the next video.